Joel's stomach was churning as his truck pulls up to the curb. He turns off the ignition and reaches for the rearview mirror. Angling it towards his face, he can see the beads of sweat dripping down his forehead. As he wipes some of the sweat from his brow, he notices his hand trembling. He quickly reaches for his pack of cigarettes sitting in the pocket of his red flannel shirt. These were his go-to fix-all whenever he felt out of it. He lights one and takes a long drag and blows the smoke out slowly, as if trying to get rid of whatever's inside of him. It's not working, not this time. He turns his head to look out the side window, a tall, 3-story mansion with a beautifully manicured front lawn, a lavish water fountain in the middle of the front yard with a small rose garden on each side. The view disgusted him, especially after what had just happened. Joel takes one last drag of his cigarette and gets out of the truck. As he steps onto the grass, he tosses his lit cigarette aside, like an FU to the landscape, but more importantly, an FU to the owner of this extravagant home. He walks up to the large double doors and presses the button of the video doorbell just to the side. A voice comes on the intercom. "Who's there?" "It's me," Joel replies with an annoyed tone. "Me who?" Joel sighs. "Just let me in, Reginald." The voice on the intercom laughs. "How many times have I told you to call me Reggie?" "Sure thing, Reg." "Close enough, I'll take it." The door beeps and makes a mechanical noise as the double doors slowly open outward. Joel watches the needless display. "Of course," he whispers to himself. He walks down the long tile entrance until he sees Reggie lounging on a plush velvet couch. Reggie smiles and holds up a glass of scotch he's been working on. "How do you like the door? Fully automated, huh?" "Very cool." "Damn right it's cool. Had it installed last week. Was able to fire my doorman. It's paid for itself already." Reggie gets up and walks over to a small marble table. A second glass of scotch already poured is waiting for Joel. Reggie gestures for him to sit. "I can't stay long. I just came to get paid," Joel says to him. "What? Straight to business? No, I'm gonna need some details." Reggie sits down across from Joel and takes another sip from his drink. "Tell me how it went down. Don't leave out anything. Did she scream?" Joel looks down at the glass of scotch. Normally he wouldn't pass up a free drink, even though he hated Reggie and his obnoxious attitude, but he wasn't feeling like himself today. "Can I just get my money?" he asks. Reggie reaches for the large manila envelope full of money and slides it towards Joel. Before Joel can grab it, however, Reggie pulls it back and says, while over-enunciating each word, "Every single detail." Joel realizes he can't get out of this unless he tells him how it all went down, so he begins to describe the events that started the night before. "Well, she was home all alone just like you said she would be. I knocked on her door, and once she opened it, I forced my way in. She tried running, but I grabbed her before she could get to a phone. Then I just put my hands around her neck and... Are you sure you want me to continue?" "Yes, please. You're getting to my favorite part," Reggie responds with an intense smile on his face, like watching a fireworks show that's about to get to the grand finale. Joel takes a breath and continues. "So I put both hands around her neck and just squeezed and kept squeezing." "Did she scream?" Reggie asks. "No, she couldn't really scream since I was choking her." "Oh, right. Please continue." "Well, once I felt her body go limp, I let her go. Then I just carried her to my truck and buried her out in the desert, away from the city." Reggie sits there with a slightly disappointed look on his face. Not as exciting as I would have hoped, but here's to a job well done, he says while raising his drink up. Joel, feeling obligated, raises his glass too. "There you go," Reggie says with excitement, then raises his glass higher to give a toast. "To wives. You can't live with them, but you can live without them." Reggie chugs what's left of his drink and then slams the glass onto the table. As Joel drinks his scotch, he can't help but relive the events. Not the murder he committed, but what happened afterward. Something he still can't understand. The night before, as the sun was rising on a section of vast empty desert, Joel drove his truck down a lonely dirt road. Once he found a good spot, he stopped the truck and grabbed a shovel from the truck bed. The dirt was loose and easy to dig. Once he had a large enough human-sized hole in front of him, he tossed the shovel to the side. Joel pulled down the tailgate, and there she was, the lifeless body of Reggie's wife. She was beautiful, he wondered, even after death. What could she have done to deserve this? Didn't matter. Besides, the way Reggie is, it could have been anything. The man was such a self-centered prick. This wasn't the first time he hired Joel to take someone out, but looking at the beautiful corpse in front of him, Joel had decided that this would be his last. He pulled her body out of the truck bed and laid her on the ground near the hole. He then rolled her to the edge and watched her slide down like a rag doll. The sun was rising quickly, so he needed to get out of the desert soon. He shoveled the dirt back into the hole as quickly as he could. As her body was disappearing under all the dirt, Joel noticed one thing: a small bite mark on her upper arm. It wasn't deep, but it looked infected. The thought left his mind as quickly as it came. Once the hole was filled, Joel returned to his truck and leaned the shovel on the driver's side mirror. Like an old ritual, he reached for a trusty cigarette and began smoking before departing, savoring the taste of tobacco in his mouth. Before he could finish his cigarette, something caught his eye. The freshly compacted dirt where the hole used to be was moving. Slowly, the dirt shifted, tumbling further down as if it was being pulled by something underneath. Joel looked on, trying to figure out what was happening. There was no breeze, no earthquake. The desert was still, as dead as the woman in that hole. Suddenly, a hand pierced out of the ground. Joel could not believe it. Within seconds, it was no longer a hand, but an entire arm that emerged. Was the woman still alive? Joel thinks to himself. There was no way. Just then, the woman's face emerges from the dirt. She emits a low, guttural moan that echoes eerily in the stillness of the desert. Her skin is a sickly grayish green, her eyes glazed over and vacant, but full of a yellowish red that he hadn't seen before. Her hair, long and tangled, was caked with dirt. Joel looks on in disbelief. His cigarette falls out of his open mouth. The woman, now fully out of the hole, stands on the mound of dirt, blood and bile dripping from her mouth. The bite wound on her arm was a brilliant red, surrounded by a deep black of necrotizing flesh. Joel stood idle, scared but curious. Dead bodies were nothing new to him, but one that rose from the dead was a first. The woman took a deep breath, mouth agape, looking to the sky. Then her eyes locked onto Joel. Instantly, her breath quickened, teeth emerging from a darkened mouth. Suddenly, she enters a full sprint towards Joel, charging like a predator. Joel's quick reflexes finally kick in. He grabs the shovel and holds it in front of him. The woman lunges at his neck, biting the air just inches from his face. Only the handle of the shovel held her back. She growls and snarls, spilling her black discharge all over him. Joel pushes as hard as he can, remembering the pistol he left sitting on the passenger seat. He gives one hard shove and the woman stumbles back a step, just enough time for Joel to run to the other side of the truck, putting some distance between them. The woman charges again, this time at the truck door. Clawing at it, she eventually grabs hold and pulls herself up onto the cabin. Joel, now standing near the passenger door, can clearly see his gun on the seat. The woman leaps off the truck as Joel opens the door and grabs the gun. Before he can turn and aim, she charges again. At full speed, she enters the truck cabin with Joel. Using his feet to hold her back, he tries to take aim. Razor-sharp claws grab at his arms and legs. He kicks frantically, trying to get a clear shot. He pushes hard with both legs and unloads round after round into her. Bullets shred through her body, into her chest, arms, shoulders, neck, and face. More black bile sprays everywhere, but her attack isn't slowing down. She continues to claw and bite. She forces her way closer to Joel until her mouth finally gets a hold of his arm. The bite is painful as Joel screams in agony. Not a soul around for miles. No one to come for help. Her eyes lock with his again. Dead eyes had become something familiar to Joel. They never bothered him or haunted him, but these eyes were something he had never seen. Dead, but full of purpose. Vengeance personified, a curse brought to life. With the gun still in his free hand, he places the barrel against the side of her head and pulls the trigger. Finally, the last gunshot brings everything to an end. The woman's body goes limp as her mouth releases his bloody arm. Joel kicks her body off of him and she falls to the dirt outside. Joel climbs out of the cabin, gun still pointed at her. He looks down at his bloody arm, trying to catch his breath. He looks back at her. Her eyes have changed. The color is gone. The intent has faded. She now has the eyes of a corpse like any other. He pulls a handkerchief from his back pocket and wraps a tourniquet around the wound. He looks around. The desert is still quiet and as dead as ever. He lowers the sleeve of his shirt, gets into the driver's seat, and drives away as fast as possible. Back at Reggie's house, Joel snaps out of it. Reggie is staring at him with a confused look on his face. "Joel!" Reggie screams. "Yeah?" Reggie snaps his fingers several times in Joel's face. "The fuck, man? I've been talking to you for minutes. You feeling okay?" he says. Joel tries to regain his composure. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just think I'm coming down with something." Joel tries to get up out of his chair but falls back to his seat, then vomits black bile all over the white marble table. "What the hell, man? Do you know how much this table costs?" Reggie yells. "I'm taking this out of your pay," he continues. Joel's head slams onto the table as his arms hang towards the floor. Reggie gets up and walks around to Joel's chair. He notices the fresh puddle of blood pooling under the table. "Hey, you better get up and clean this. Joel! Joel!" Reggie, now in a rage, grabs Joel by the hair and lifts his head up off the table. His eyes are closed, but snap open. Dead eyes full of intent stare back. Joel lunges out of his chair, knocking Reggie down to the floor, biting ferociously at Reggie's face and neck. Cries fill the halls of the mansion. Not a soul in earshot to hear the relentless screams.